Okay. Well, here we go.
Tariffs respond on the economy here.
So
Well,
this is the
let's
U.S.
talk about what
presidential
Donald Trump
debate
left us.
from
Donald
last
Trump
night.
left us the worst
Wow.
unemployment
Yeah.
since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the
Look at his
aspirations and the
face.
hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell
doesn't
you
look
on this
happy,
debate
eh?
tonight, you're going to hear from
I
the
think he
same
just
old
want to take a
tired
hot
playbook,
bath.
a
Go
bunch of
home,
lies,
take a hot bubbly
grievances,
bath.
and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some
wrong with
ideas,
his
I guess
eye?
some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody
Why should he close one eye open?
I don't know. He's got a green tan, right?
knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before.
I think she has a crush on him.
We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me
can
credit for
only watch
rebuilding the
this with a
military. They give
chocolate.
me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his
I love
economic
it.
plan, it's
This
all
is
about
so
tax
cool.
breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America.
You're welcome.
What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What
Okay.
the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say.
Hey,
Look,
their
I
microphone
went to the
works as
Wharton
good as
School of
ours does.
Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to
The
bring
best
up our,
plan.
our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money.
What?
People cannot still go work now?
I don't know.
For our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes.
You like that?
At least her hair is real. Isn't he wearing a wig?
No, I don't think so.
She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national
Why so
sales tax. Your
childish?
proposal
Like,
calls
right
for
away,
tariffs,
the
as you
first
pointed out
time.
here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your
What
plan.
happened?
imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country.
If you know you're not gonna go do well, this is when you attack somebody else. Oh, she's like this, she's like this, she's like this, she's like this, she's like
As
this.
you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely
really
dying
hungry.
with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. I heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Should have asked ChatGPT to
Well,
write
let's
his
be
speech.
clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing.
Hey, AI, that's what I do.
Focusing on what we need to do to support America's
Who you want to be for Halloween?
so that we don't end up having
I'll be Donald Trump, you can be her.
in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald
Trump
did,
definitely be him, because you already know how to use fake
is
money.
he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi,
she wants to look at his tweet.
point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of
He doesn't want to look at him.
Trump will let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies.
Look how ridiculous this is.
I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window.
You like him?
She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
No.
She's gone to my philosophy. But
What about that toilet
if she ever
paper
got
he had with
elected,
his
she'd
face?
change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly,
she's laughing how
where it's,
ridiculous
I
he
believe,
is.
21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher
You know,
than
he
the
doesn't look
21.
at her, but she
That's
looks at
bigger
him
than
all
New
the time.
York State pouring in, and just look at what they're doing to our country. They're
He's like a
criminals.
kid
Many of
just
these
attacking
people
that
coming
she's
in are
bad,
criminals.
she's bad,
and that's
she's bad.
for our economy too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy.
Bad.
They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that
You can see who loves the chocolates here.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have
The truth is, he's
abortion
old.
in the 9th month.
Ew.
They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job.
Why would you want to
But
put
the governor
something,
before, he
somebody
said,
up there
"The
who's
baby
old
will
can
be
die
born,
anytime?
and
He's
we
like
will
80
decide
years
what
old.
to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the
80.
baby." And that's why I did that, because
She's my
that
age.
predominates, because they're
50.
radical. The Democrats are radical in that.
50?
And her vice
told me
presidential
less.
pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month.
Why do you
is
need a president
absolutely
that like
fine. He
many
also
people
says
hate? You know,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he was almost killed. What's the percent? What is the? He's calling me now. Vote for me. Oh
execution
my god.
after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion.
Somebody
because the
already
baby
tried
is
to
born
kill him, so-
Is
Yeah.
okay, and that's not okay with me. Hence the vote. But what I did is something
think-
for 52 years they've been.
I think this is only like his like emptiness that he wants to fill, you know, to get in the power again.
I think he's afraid of going to jail.
So this is just, you know, like a race for him to get up there. You know, he doesn't care about anybody else, just himself.
Trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states.
That is
And
true.
through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did.
Because if you'd be like so rich, you know, he's rich, right?
Mhm.
He has all the money in the world, right?
Well, he's a rich man, yeah. He pretends to be more rich than he is, but
So why you're not able to get a full tone body, only your face? Why choosing to do only your face?
Did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states
her
are
face.
voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what
She's really brave being there to listen to all this bullshit.
yeah, no.
And you know, like even in the end, if more people vote for him, you know, wherever, something's gonna happen to him, and they're gonna have to do this again, no? What if he dies? Does she becomes automatically, or is
No, it'll be someone else that he picks.
What do you mean, someone else he picks?
He picks his vice president. That would then become the president if he dies.
Oh,
happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have
Okay,
thought.
okay.
But each individual state is
Let me make it
voting.
go
It's the
faster
vote
a
of
bit
the
here.
people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. Courage in doing it.
Country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump. Where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam
They want to kill a baby after it's born?
I don't know, because every time you touch,
No, what was this you were saying?
well, maybe don't skip.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go.
What?
I'm out. This is just. How can people still vote for him? It's all, the narcissistic voice, you know, of course. That they're now saying, oh, Trump said that's okay, so I can use you for anything.
Yeah. No. It's really bad.
Yes.
Go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest.